Hi everyone, my name is Pulkit K. Agrawal and I'm the founder and CEO of The Fifth Ingredient. Today, I want to show you all about Beer30 Lite, our latest product offering. When you first log in, this is the dashboard. The beauty behind the dashboard is that you have everything set up where you can see your process volumes, brew, filter, package, understand what's happening in terms of fermentation, gravity, pH, temperature, viability, and then even get into those aspects of what's happening in each tank. This allows you to really dive in and see things like, hey, in my FV11, I have brown sugar ale. This is on diacetyl rest. Everything can be completely customized in terms of the custom stages that you would like to have in order for you to track those particular data points in the system. From here, let's dive in on the inventory side. In Beer30 Lite, for the inventory, you have grains, hops, adjuncts. What's great about this is that we have it set up where you can go in and very quickly just hit the plus icon in order to add in particular ingredients that you have and also tie that in with the actual inventory values that exist. So a really good way to actually dive in and understand exactly how much you have on hand for grains, hops, and adjuncts. From there, let's jump into the recipe side. Beer30 recipes are designed for you to be able to create recipes, group by brands, and actually go in and have recipe version control. The recipe version control is one of the key points of Beer30 Lite, so that way as you make adjustments to the actual recipe, you can see how that data trends over time. Now, one of the cool things about the recipe functionality in Beer30 Lite is that every data point that you'd like to track is completely customizable. So this includes things like style targets, ABVs, IBUs, gravities, getting into things like ready to package metrics, yeast details, brewing metrics, everything from mashing in, Warloff, Lauter, Sparge, Boil, Whirlpool, Knockout, custom metrics, water additives and water chemistry, grain, first wort hops, boil hops, whirlpool hops, adjuncts, kettle additions, and then getting into things like fermentation and cellaring timelines, active firm hops, dry hops, cellaring additions, gravity-based actions, day-based actions, and BBT additions. The cool thing about all of these actions and things that you're doing on the recipe side is that in Beer30 Lite, they'll actually then tie in directly with our schedule module, right? That way, you know, in particular at your brewery, whatever's happening in terms of, hey, it's Tuesday afternoon, what actions do I need to take? It may be doing a gravity-based action in FVO5, and it may be dry hopping in FVO2. And so this allows you to keep a track of all of those actions. And what's great about that is that these recipes then tie in directly with the scheduling tool. This scheduling tool is a full Gantt chart basis, so that way you can legitimately drag and drop every action that needs to happen, and you can plan out all the pieces that tie in with brewing, fermenting, filter, bright tank package, and see all the different tasks that are present. Now, what we do with these tasks is that on the dashboard, you're actually able to see a full task list of actions that need to get done on a daily basis. Now, the cool thing about this is on a day-by-day basis, you can actually assign these tasks to different people. And as they then log in, they'll actually see their My Task list and know exactly what they need to get done. This is brilliant because if you're in a position where you have multiple people at the brewery that are doing particular actions, you can see exactly what's happening from a task component. We even turn this into a weekly view, and a lot of our customers actually put this up on a TV, tablet, replace that big whiteboard, and have that all in one system for scheduling and task management and know exactly who did what particular action. Let's jump into one of my favorite modules, the yeast side. So yeast in Beer30 Lite allows you to track the inventory, as in what yeast do you have in different drinks, but also gives you the ability to add fresh yeast, but also one of the coolest things about harvesting yeast and repitching. We realize that one of the biggest importances of quality is being able to understand where you took the initial yeast strain from on harvest and where you actually put that in for a future batch. This is where it ties in with, again, custom fields, where you can track things like micro, attenuation, vitality, pH. And the coolest thing about all of this is to be able to actually see a genealogy tree. So let's say something went wrong in my brown sugar ale batch 11. In Beer30 Lite, I can then apply those filters, and now I can see every single batch and know that that ties in together. So if you look above my shoulder here, you can see exactly what's happening with yeast harvest. I got it from batch 11. I pitched it into batch 13, and whoa, I have another batch that I pitched in Malaysian IPA. Maybe something went wrong with that, right? Maybe there's a quality control issue. So the yeast side allows you to then track that, and then you get right back to the dashboard, and you're able to say, hey, I need to block out this particular tank with a QC issue, and you can actually then mark it as a quality control QC issue that's available. So really good ways to put things on QC hold and really track that production information tying in with the yeast side. Now, let's jump into the actual production day. Brewing, one of the simple steps. Hit that nice big green start button. Does not get simpler than that, right? Start a brew, you will see what's there from a schedule side, pick a brand and batch, add in batch codes, pick a tank. Brewing is then broken up into 4 steps: mash in, brew log, brew additions, and knockout. As you mash in, you pick the batch that you're about to brew. It'll then load in from the recipes all of your target metrics, water chemistry, and ingredients that you need to utilize. You can also do substitutions on the fly. Let's say, hey, you're out of a particular 2-row ingredient and you want to do a particular substitution. Go ahead and do that right as you mash in. Your brew log then allows you to actually go in and track all these data points, mash in, Warloff, ladder, etc. And the cool thing about this is that you can actually set up custom tolerances so that way the system can flag that as red, yellow, and green. A really good way to understand where those spectrums lie and be able to get those alerts. That's the cool thing about Beer30 Lite. If you're using this, you care about your quality for your beer. You can get a real-time text and email whenever something goes out of spec. Here you have one item that's in yellow, 14 items that are in red. That's a problem. Go ahead and fix that. The other cool thing about Beer30 Lite, everything is mobile, tablet, laptop friendly. So this is legitimately how it would look on an iPhone in order for you to go ahead and do this real time. A lot of our other customers also have this on an iPad. And you can literally be sitting at the brewery and take all these readings from an iPad as well, mobile, tablet, whatever else you need. This makes this so user-friendly, which is where one of the biggest pieces of Beer30 Lite excels at. You then get into things like brew additions, where I can actually add in all of my ingredients, boil hops, kettle additions, etc. And then we get into knockout, where I can actually start my knockout or then complete my knockout. Cool thing here, again, we'll show you, hey, you forgot to add in brew additions, go ahead and add them in. Again, that great checklist that you really want to have for anything that ties in with Beer30 Lite and your actual production day itself. Let's jump into ferment. Ferment, really designed for you to be able to come into the system and on a day-by-day basis, track all of your fermentation readings. So if I go ahead and say, hey, I'm looking at my brown sugar ale, I can actually see everything that's happening for gravities, temperature, pH, and more importantly, I can fully customize what I want my brewers to be using on those particular custom fields. So we get into things like CO2, pressure. Hey, did I make sure to add in the puree? Did you add fruit? Is the diacetyl check done? So these are all ways for you to see. And then what's great about this is fully customize those particular gravity readings. Now, what's amazing about these charts is that when you actually come into the charts module, I can go ahead and pick a beer. Let's say my Cambodian Snake Venom IPA, and I can then graph every data point that exists in Beer30. Brew, ferment, filter, bright tank carbonation, package, quality. I'll go ahead and put in fermentation. On the x-axis, I want day numbers. On the y-axis, I want gravities. And I can go ahead and pick a number of batches to compare. Now, this is the power behind Beer30 Lite. For these 6 batches, I can now see that the gravities were super tight. And yet, if I were to add another axis and go with something like pH, I can then start seeing in Beer30 Lite that my pH was all over the spot. We've had customers using Beer30 and Beer30 Lite actually realize that the water coming in from the city has changed over time, or maybe somebody forgot to calibrate the pH meter. This is the power of Beer30 Lite and why every single brewery needs to be using a production platform like this in order to have those actionable insights. From there, we get into filter. When you get into filter, some people like to go ahead with the process of actually using a centrifuge, for example. And hey, power to you, go ahead and add those items, look at fugue pressure, turbidity, etc. Or if you're just doing a straight transfer, you still start the filter and you finish the filter. This allows you to actually have those checks in place. And again, fully customizable for something like, hey, did I make sure my hoses are all set up correctly? Is the water on? Are we all set from a carbonation side? Has the beer been marked as ready to release? So again, all powerful aspects when it comes to the filtration side. We then get into bright tanks. Hey, I have my beer that's sitting in my bright tank. Oh, I'm making mead today, honey mead. I can make sure to make that the system has it set up where I can add in forced carbonation, add in and check how often the tank was being carved. Maybe I'm adding in different ingredients, and in my recipe, I can then add in those particular adjuncts. One of the cool things that we have about Beer30 Lite is the ability to do split batches. So, for example, I may come up with a base Oh Honey Mead, and I may decide, hey, I actually want to do split batches and actually go ahead and create a pineapple flavored mead. And so this allows you to actually go ahead and do those split batch varietals and pick particular beers in the actual bright tank side of things. You can also do the same component if we take a step back in fermentation, where I can go ahead and transfer a particular base beer like my brown sugar ale, and I can even do split batches or merges and go ahead and say, hey, we're actually going to do a varietal and actually do something like a brown sugar ale vanilla or macadamia or something else. So really cool ways in Beer30 Lite to keep that production process going. Finally, we get into packaging. Packaging, one of the key components here, you can make the world's best beer. If you don't have it in bottles, cans, or kegs, people aren't going to buy it. So being in a position to actually start packaging runs, pick the bottles, cans, kegs, whatever packaging profiles you're doing, and then being able to, again, take those custom fields. This could be things like, hey, is the CO2 on? Is my date code legible? Has it passed the scene check if you're doing cans? Again, lots of endpoints and checkpoints that you can add in for packaging. And on finishing a packaging run for bottles, cans, or kegs, being able to track exactly how many cases were done for those particular ingredients. From there, you now have beer that's finished off. I can go ahead and empty a tank. Hey, I just emptied a tank. What's one of the big things we do? CIP. One of the beauties behind Beer30 Lite, I can go into my CIP module, which is included with all aspects of Beer30 Lite, and I can go ahead and add in different actions. Acid, caustic, iodine, passivation. Maybe it's for equipment. Maybe I want to track my brew house. Maybe my draft systems. I can add in all those different events, again, custom fields like multiple people signing off, and then being able to say, boom, I know when the last time my brewer went ahead and did a CIP under pressure, when they did particular actions. So this is all included as part of your Beer30 Lite subscription. You now have finished product. What do you do with that? Let's go into the distribution side. Our Beer30 Lite ethos here is for a distribution hub. Brewers are able to put the beer in the cold box, but they may have other things that they need to do. So as part of the core functionality of Beer30 Lite, you can go ahead and move particular items, maybe from a cold box to a particular location. Maybe you're just marking it as deplete, so that way it shows up on your TTB reports. I can go ahead and transfer these particular items. If you're a brewery that's in Australia, this is actually how you would do your bonded and unbonded excise tax components as well. Very important, very easy to do. I'll show you those reports in a moment. Beer30 Lite customers also have the ability to convert packages. We know this is the core on where the industry is going, where I may take a 15-gallon keg and convert that into 3 5-gallons. Maybe I'm going ahead and creating variety packs where I have a summer special with multiple cans. Maybe I'm white labeling, or maybe I'm doing keg flavoring where I take a particular keg, put it back in a tank, add in particular ingredients, and keg that back out. Different ways to do that in Beer30 Lite as well on the keg flavoring side. So that effectively walks you through everything for dashboard, schedule, brew, ferment, filter, bright tank, package yeast, CIP, inventory, and distro hub in Beer30 Lite. Let's wrap this up with some of the really powerful reports that you'll get standard as part of the core functionality. Batch history. This is one of my favorite pieces and what everybody that's on spreadsheets has as the biggest pain point. You're able to come into Beer30 Lite, go to batch history, and I can see every single beer that was done. Also, I want to point out, note that we have breweries that use this for THC seltzers, that use this for mead, that use this for ciders, that are able to do spirits in it. Beer30 Lite can handle all of that. And we have different workflows already set up, so that way it makes your life much easier then tracking that in spreadsheets or other softwares. Let's go ahead and look at my brown sugar ale batch 11. And the cool thing about this, I can now see all my data in one location. This is probably what most breweries have in anywhere from 15 to 20 spreadsheets. Not even joking. You know who you are. You're watching this demo right now because you're interested in Beer30 Lite to help compete against those spreadsheets. Coming into here, I can then see everything for my overall batch summary, what the overall knockout volume yields were, my raw material ingredients that I used, any substitutions that I want to do after the fact, getting into final beer specs. One of the cool things about this is that you can actually set up Beer30 Lite so that way brewers are required to sign off on brewing, filtering, and bright tank ready to package in order to make sure that you have those particular sign-offs. Brew sheets and brew logs, getting into fermentation history, cellaring additions and active firm hops and dry hops, filter transfer data, bright tank history, carbonation data, packaging data as well. So all of this in a really powerful way in order to make sure that you have all that data in one location. From there, other reports that are really powerful, I can come into my brewery here and I can say, hey, pull up my brewer's report of operations. If you're in the US, this is your TTB report. Pick a start date, pick an end date, and now I have all that information loaded up in 1 second. Legitimately, this is what I would then put into my TTB form, being able to track that information and look at those losses. If I'm in Australia, very simple to do a 2-click Aussie excise tax report because of transfers. Pick a start date, pick an end date. We'll give you the overall excise amount, see what's happening in terms of delivery and movements that have happened from bonded to unbonded warehouses as well. Finally, we get into some of those process reports. I can go in and I can see my process volumes, see exactly what's happening brew, filter, package week over week, maybe set targets for my team in order to make sure that they are properly being handled when it comes to the actual average batch size and what their knockout yield is. So this is a really good rundown of what's happening with Beer30 Lite. If you're interested to get started, it's as simple as just clicking the Get Started button down below. Go to beer30lite.com. That's BEER30LITE.com. Our pricing starts off as low as $30, and it's designed to scale up to 5,000 barrels, $30, $45, $60, $90 a month, US dollars. It does not get cheaper than that. It is the industry's best price for a brewery management software system. Feel free to reach out. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day. Cheers, everyone.